You ever notice how the things you fear the most always find a way to return, not as shadows, but as invitations? That is what this felt like the moment I turned the postcard over and saw the ink bleeding through the paper, as if the story inside it wasn't written, but alive. It came during one of those nights when the sky feels too quiet, like it's holding its breath right before something breaks. I didn't expect anything special in the mail that day. I didn't expect anything at all, honestly. But the instant I touched that faded card, something inside me tightened, like a memory I never lived was trying to crawl back up into my mind. The image on the front looked harmless enough. A valley wrapped in soft clouds, golden light, and swirling mist shaped like hands, faces, wings. Not cartoonish, not exaggerated, almost reverent. And yet the longer I stared at it, the colder my chest became, like the air around me was shifting, thinning, recalibrating. I could swear the sky outside my window darkened even though it was early afternoon. There was a promise in that picture, but also a warning, the kind that whispers, if you keep reading, you can't go back. And I didn't want to go back. Because deep down, you know exactly what I mean, when something calls you, and the part of you that is tired of being afraid finally whispers, maybe this is the thing that will make sense of everything. I turned the postcard over, and that's when everything started. The writing on the back wasn't just text. It looked like tiny currents of wind brushed into place, as if each letter had been shaped by something patient, old, and watching. The message didn't begin with a greeting. It didn't try to explain itself. It simply said, "Where I am, the weather remembers us." I didn't understand what that meant, but I felt it, and in the quiet, something inside me shifted, like an invisible door creaked open, not out there but in here, where doubts and longing are stored like forgotten luggage. If you're still with me, tell me something in the comments. What is the strangest thing you have ever felt but couldn't explain? I'll be reading every single one. The postcard wasn't from any place I recognized. The stamp depicted a spiral cloud with a single eye in its center, unblinking, swirling, carved with perfect geometry. Beneath it was a name I didn't know, Heirloom. The air around the card subtly changed the moment I whispered the name. A soft breeze brushed past me, though no window was open. It felt like a hand gently testing the temperature of my skin. Not threatening, curious. I should have dropped it right then. I should have questioned why a piece of paper carried its own weather. But curiosity has a way of blinding you in the most comforting way, pulling you toward the unknown with the promise of connection you didn't realize you craved. Before I could stop myself, I felt the room tilt, not physically, but perceptually, like the world around me slid out of alignment. And suddenly I wasn't just holding the postcard. I was sinking into it. At first it felt like stepping between breaths. Light stretched, colors blurred, and the hum of my ceiling fan dissolved into a distant roar. When the world snapped back into focus, I was standing on a cliff overlooking an immense valley shaped by storms and silence. Clouds coiled through the air like serpents made of mist, and above them, silhouettes moved, towering forms shifting with the sky, their bodies blending into storm fronts, rain curtains, and beams of sunlight. Ancient spirits, not metaphorical, not symbolic, not imagined. They were real. One drifted closer, its eyes forming as twin crescents of lightning. It studied me with the quiet intensity of someone who remembers a name you haven't learned yet. The wind around it carried the weight of centuries, and yet it didn't feel hostile, just disappointed. The spirit didn't speak with a voice. It spoke through weather. A gust pressed against my chest, firm, almost paternal. A pulse of warm air followed, soothing, grounding. Then a cold, sharp slice of wind cut through the warmth like a warning. And I understood. I wasn't supposed to be here. Not yet. A figure climbed up the path behind me. Human. Hooded, carrying a staff carved with swirling patterns that mirrored the stamp on the postcard. They approached with careful steps, as if trying not to anger the air itself. "You shouldn't have answered the call," they said, lowering their hood. Their face was marked with lines drawn in shimmering dust, sky silver and storm black. "The spirits don't take lightly to outsiders." "I didn't answer anything," I said. "I just read a postcard." They smiled, but it wasn't amusement, it was empathy. "That was your answer." The spirits above us shifted, and thunder rolled across the valley like a heartbeat. The figure motioned for me to follow. "Come quickly. If they decide you arrived by accident, they'll send you back with a little wind. If they decide you arrived by intention," they hesitated, searching for the right word, "they might decide to keep you." I swallowed hard. "And if they want to keep me? They'll rewrite your weather." We entered a vast clearing enclosed by towering stone pillars, engraved with spirals of ancient storms. At the center was a pool of water so still it looked like polished glass. The figure knelt beside it and pointed to the surface. I leaned in, and the water changed. It showed my world, but not the one I left. A version twisted by storms that pulsed with emotion instead of physics. Lightning branched through the sky like veins of panic. Rain fell in sharp bursts of grief. Sunlight flickered, as if unsure whether joy still mattered. "This is what your world would look like," they murmured, "if emotions shaped the sky." I didn't want to ask the next question, but I had to. "Does yours?" They nodded. "Here the weather is alive, and the spirits that guide it feel everything." For a moment I couldn't breathe, not out of fear, but awe. Imagine standing in a place where the sky didn't just witness your emotions, it answered them. The figure looked at me carefully. "The spirits sense something inside you, a storm that doesn't belong to your world. That is why they called you." Something inside my chest throbbed, a memory I'd tried to forget. A moment when someone I loved was taken from me, not by violence, but by the slow erosion of time and distance. It wasn't that they eliminated anyone. It wasn't that I lost them. It was that the world changed around us, and we never learned to change with it. The wind shifted. Warmth embraced me. Something ancient and gentle brushed against the edges of my thoughts. A spirit. It wasn't warning me this time. It was comforting me. The figure whispered, "You are not the first visitor to carry grief, but you might be the first one they believe can transform it." Clouds gathered above, spiraling into shapes that made my breath catch. Scenes of my life rendered in swirling mist. The laughter I missed, the choices I regretted, the silent moments where I wished the sky would stop turning just so I could hold on to something for one more second. The spirit reached out, a hand shaped from wind and starlight, and placed it gently over my heart. The storm inside me loosened. Not erased, not forgotten, transformed. When I blinked again, I was back in my room, the postcard resting on my lap. But now the picture had changed. The clouds no longer held faces of warning. They held faces of recognition, acceptance, peace. And beneath the image, new words had formed. "Your sky is yours again." If this story touched something in you, if it reminded you of a feeling you thought you'd left behind, let me know in the comments. I read them because every story you share gives life to this channel, and sometimes the sky between us. And please, subscribe, hit the like button, and share this video with someone who needs a little light in their weather today.